Rare clip shows Meghan gave the king a hostile glance after leaving Buckingham meeting, announcing the Queen's decree. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry haven't spent time with the royal family together since the funeral of Queen Elizabeth II, during which a short clip has shown they appeared alienated. The couple flew to the UK in September of 2022 to pay their respects to the late Queen at Westminster Abbey. Recently, an old clip was unearthed showing their interaction with King Charles seemed hard-hearted and unpleasant. Meghan and Harry were seen walking behind Charles at Buckingham Palace before heading to the funeral. Speaking exclusively to the Mirror, Judy explained, "These photographs of Harry and Meghan with Charles at the Queen's funeral seem to make Harry's subsequent disloyalty to his father seem even more hard-hearted and unpleasant." She added, "Walking down the palace staircase, the sense of alienation is obvious as Charles walks ahead, apparently oblivious of his younger son and his wife behind him. There's no sense of family huddling or even communication, although the non-verbal messages look powerful." Harry may have been showing his solo bonding to his wife here by holding a hand, but the emotional mirroring is with his father. Charles looks solitary and his head's bowed in what looks like grief. Harry's head is tilted away from Meghan, and his facial expression with the steepled brows suggests he's silently sharing that grief with his father. During the Queen's funeral, Meghan and Harry were sat behind the King. Both settle into their seats and draw as far away from each other as humanly possible. Meghan is in one corner, and Harry very visibly sliding away from Meghan and into his corner. They move like two people who can't stand to be in the same confined space with each other. Harry just as much as Meghan. They aren't looking at each other, and they sure as hell aren't comforting each other. They look like they hate each other. A source close to the palace said that the tension between the King and the Sussexes came after a palace meeting announced the late Queen's decree that Meghan and Harry wouldn't inherit any special royal privileges. Meghan was also monitored for her devices and signed an NDA, but after that, pictures of her in front of the palace were still put to Netflix. All Harry and Meghan did was whinge. Harry about not being allowed to wear his military uniform, and Meghan complains about being snubbed. Absolutely trying to make it all about them. It would have seemed better if they stayed away. Also, allegedly, they were both wearing wires. Meghan with that hug of a girl outside Windsor Castle. She already knew this girl, it was a setup. This was like another PR stunt for them. Giles Brandreth's new book gives the inside story on what happened behind the scenes. The Queen knew the timing of the pair's docuseries in the book, and knew Meghan's plan was to damage Charles, then in January offered to come back on her terms and rescue the royal family. What Harry and Meghan didn't know, and the Queen did, was that she'd be dead before that happened. The Queen was diagnosed with a form of blood cancer, and even with treatment only had 3 years. She'd been regularly using a wheelchair for the last 2, but she gave strict instructions not to tell Harry. When the Queen died, Meghan was in shock, because all of her carefully planned scheme was in ruins. The Queen died before she was ready. Charles was instantly king, and in his first speech he gave everything to William and Catherine and wished them a nice life overseas. The Queen had the last laugh.